Fans, next time you need tickets to a game or concert, head to StubHub and discover why millions of fans make it their go-to site for finding great seats, even on the day of the event and even if it's sold out. The only question is, where do you want to sit? StubHub! The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
this is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
It might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report. We have a movie star in studio, Jack Black. How are you?
Nobody said action. I'm from film and television. I like someone to say, and action.
Action.
Thank you. I'm doing good.
You're 4 weeks older than I am. We're basically the same age.
Yeah.
And our parents got divorced at the same time, but you were on the West Coast, I was on the East Coast. I feel like you're my doppelganger.
What are you, August 1st?
I was like September. I was a little bit after you.
Oh, you're after. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm before you.
Yeah. We've had a lot of the same life experiences.
Now I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're both children of the 60s.
Yeah.
Born in the 60s.
Born of the love era of the 60s.
Yeah. I always feel like I have a leg up on all the youngsters born in the 70s. They don't understand what we know, what we experienced.
We had the moon happen like right around when we were born.
That's right, the lunar landing.
Assuming it happened. I still think it happened.
You know, I can put to rest all of those conspiracy theories that we didn't actually go to the moon right now. Should I do it?
Do it.
Drop a bombshell?
Do it.
Hey, dummies that are worried about the lunar landing being a conspiracy. You can watch things happen from here. You can watch the spaceship go from Cape Canaveral all the way to the moon with a good telescope.
True.
And the Russians certainly would have called BS if we didn't actually go to the moon.
Right.
And they could have just, shown proof of it with their telescope cameras.
You know what hurt it was the making of Capricorn 1 or whatever that movie was called in 1977 with O.J. and whoever else was in it. They faked the landing. I think that made people think that maybe these rumors were actually true, and it wasn't. It did lead to Buzz Aldrin punching that guy, though, in the YouTube clip.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorites.
And that only made it prove it more that it didn't happen.
Hey,
the
why
conspiracy
are you so tense?
theories, yeah. But my mother actually worked on she's an aerospace engineer, as my father was.
Yeah.
And so she was in that world and worked on those missions, and she would get defensive if you ever tried to say that it didn't happen either.
So I'm guessing they met at work.
They met at work?
No, they met at work.
Oh, they met at work. I'm not sure
Two
where
aerospace engineers? I don't know.
You would think so, but they were also really into folk dancing. I think they did meet, though, at the office. Yeah. But they were really into Middle Eastern folk dancing, an eccentric couple of brainiacs.
And you've been in L.A. your whole life.
Yeah.
But you are not an L.A. sports fan, really.
Why do you say that? I'm totally sucked in.
You're sucked in?
You see me at the Laker games.
So you're a Laker fan?
You think I'm only a Laker fan when they're world champions?
Yeah.
Well, that's not the case. It's kind of the case. I'm psyched about the Lakers right now.
Yeah, Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
It's good.
But I don't have my own season tickets. I depend on the kindness of studio executives.
And agents. They always have season tickets.
Exactly.
Now, do you worry when you go to the games, because you're like a legitimate celebrity, you don't want to be in the 8th row. It's bad for the Jack Black brand.
No, because you see some heavy hitters deep in the back rows.
All right, so you don't worry about it.
No, but I do usually just sit courtside.
Right.
I'm a little bit of a snob. Once you've been spoiled with, the smell of the hardwood boards.
Yeah, you feel your feet are on the ground. You can hear the feet pound.
Yeah,
as the players are running.
Kobe talking trash.
Yeah.
You get a little wink from Powell.
What was your best courtside experience / story?
One time I felt like I really got in Chris Paul's head.
Really?
Yeah, I caused him to get a little. He shot me a look when I said something spicy. Can't remember what it was.
He shot you a look?
Well, he was having this sort of heated exchange with who was the pretty boy on the Lakers who no longer is a Laker, and he married a really gorgeous tennis player.
Oh, Sasha Vujacic.
Sasha Vujacic. Yeah. They were almost coming to blows.
Oh.
And then I came to Vujicic's side. I was like, hey, Chris, man, leave Vujicic alone. You were in the wrong. It wasn't a very good snappy comment, but it got under his skin a little bit. And I feel like that's your job. If you're fortunate enough to be courtside, you better be doing something to contribute to the win psychologically.
You're so close. I mean, at some points, these guys are 8 feet away from you, and you can kind of whisper under your breath.
Well, you're so close that you can actually make a noise loud enough to throw them.
Yeah.
And, if they're doing a free throw and you don't do a then you should be back in the nosebleeds.
That's the irony of courtside seats, is that everybody that sits in them is usually like stiff, and they just sit there and.
Well, you're kind of on stage, right? You're kind of on display there. The lights are a little brighter.
You're worried about your crotch.
Yeah.
People across the side saying, yeah.
You're looking at Nicholson all the time to see if you measure up. But there was one time when I was sitting with my boss, Katzenberg. He runs DreamWorks, and he puts on the Kung Fu Panda show. So he invites me down once in a while to sit courtside. And the ball bounced over to us, and I said, should I take it to the hole? And he said, I triple dog dare you. And I said, it's on. And I took it to the hole, and immediately, my phone and wallet and keys all fell out and, broke.
Oh,
no. And it was a horrible shot that didn't even make the backboard. But it was a tremendous gas. I guess that's my best story. It's not a very good one.
Do you feel like the players, they know when the celebrities are there? Do you feel I always feel like Kobe kind of wants to know who's around.
Yeah.
I just have a sense that he kind of is keeping this mental Rolodex of, oh good, Michael Eisner's here today, and hey, there's Jack Black.
No, I definitely see him, hobnobbing with the rich and famous in the wings,
During timeouts, maybe he comes out 10 seconds early to...
I think it might be a little intimidating for the opposing teams, too. Kobe's used to it, but these other guys ooh.
It is true. You see that with the younger teams. They'll have the deer in the headlights look. Oh my God, that's Leo DiCaprio.
And I think the mustard might come off the dog a little bit, trying to show off for, Scarlett Johansson or whoever happens to be there.
Yeah, it's true, the ladies. Nicholson, at some point in his life, is going to die. It might not be in the next 50 years, but what do they do with that seat?
Yeah, good question.
What do they do?
I think that's in his will. He will bequeath those to someone, some special someone.
Yeah, but I feel like the torch has to be passed a little bit from a celebrity standpoint.
Oh, you think it could go to another celebrity?
Oh, I think it should.
There should be a celebrity death match.
I think people should vote for it, like we would vote for the mayoral election.
You don't think it's just going to go to Larry Nicholson or whoever his cousin or nephew or son is?
His son.
Yeah.
You see this giant, gawky 16-year-old son sitting in Nicholson's seat. No, I don't like that idea. I would rather see Denzel. But I think as a society, we should decide what celebrity should be responsible for that.
It would be a good reality TV show.
Oh, we vote off somebody every week?
Win Jack Nicholson's corpse tickets.
Right. Be good. Or we just keep propping Jack up like Bernie Lomax. It could also work. So I've been following you for a while because I was a Tenacious D guy back in the day. And first of all, you named the band after a very obscure basketball phrase.
Yeah.
Which I always appreciated. What was? I don't totally know the story behind that.
Well, we were deep into the Lakey Lakes in the late 80s, early 90s, and we were jamming a lot over at Kyle's apartment and watching basketball and jamming and getting high. And we were thinking, what would be the best name for a band? And for some reason, we were just laughing so hard at the idea of being a band called Tenacious D, because we loved, who's the dude that, Bitey? The guy that he's a great commentator on NBA broadcasts back in the day.
Marv Albert?
Yeah, Marv Albert.
Yeah.
And he would say, playing some tenacious defense. I don't even know if he ever said Tenacious D. We might have made that abbreviation for him.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just think we were really stoned, and we thought just Tenacious D. Because now I think Tenacious D, it's not that funny. It's not the funniest name I've ever heard.
I think in 1992 it would have been really funny.
Yeah, it was at the time. It was hilarious to us and a few other stoners.
But aren't most band names, don't they come about through some people being stoned, basically? I mean, has anybody not named a band that wasn't stoned?
You're right. No,
I just thought that was part of the process.
It is. It's an important factor. You know, the thing is, a name is everything.
Yeah.
A name is. It's not everything, but it's a lot. Because we could have been called like All Points West or something like that.
Oh no.
Doesn't matter how good your band is. If you don't have the right name, it's not going to resonate with the peoples. Grantland, powerful name. How long did that take for you to come up with?
You know what's funny is I didn't like it, but now I kind of like it because it's
It
memorable.
grew on you?
Yeah, I didn't like it initially. I wanted to call
Initially,
it the
you were
goat.
like, I hate it, but I can't think of anything better. I'll go with it.
I wanted to name it the goat.
Well, maybe that's.
I like the goat. And
Why
have a
didn't
little
that fly?
logo.
The goat.
I got overruled.
You know what's great about goat is it works both ways.
Yeah,
It's like bad. It's good or it's bad.
it's interesting.
Goat is the
The
worst or it's the greatest of all time.
I know. I was excited for it. I was excited for the logo and the T-shirts and had a whole.
Who
plan
shot
of
that down?
Well, it was a group effort and
Right.
some other. You know how these things work.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
So Tenacious D, when did you officially start playing for more than like say 40 people?
Well, we were playing for 40 people for a while back in the early 90s, and
So what was like the first big gig?
first big one. Well, before the first big one, we had like David Cross in the audience one time. We were playing a little club downtown LA called Al's Bar. It's a seedy little dive that only held like 40 people.
Yeah.
And he was like the idol maker, and he saw us, and he already had heat from the Ben Stiller show that he had done.
Yeah.
And he was like, I choose you to be famous with me. And he brought us into his world of stand-up comedy.
Sucked you in.
And then he and Bob Odenkirk from Mr. Show
Yep.
put us on their show,
Right.
basically. And we had these little 10-minute comedic nuggets on HBO. And then it was off to the races. That aired in like 97, 98, I guess. And the next show we did after the first episode aired was 1,000 people came. It went from, like 100 to 1,000 overnight. That's the power of television if you can get something funny on TV.
You know what's interesting about that era is you were kind of, all that stuff happened. If it had happened like 7 years later, it would have been a lot easier. Like both for Mr. Show would have been great, right? Like all those little clips just would have immediately gone on YouTube. People could have watched them whenever they wanted. Your stuff, the songs you guys were doing. But it was like, back then it was just word of mouth and email. And people like, hey,
And
did you see this?
videotapes.
Oh, yeah, videotapes.
So
People
ancient
trading
now.
videotapes.
When in my day, we
Yeah.
used to hand out videotape.
Right.
And they would circulate. Actually, we got a good buzz going from bands. Other rock bands would take our videotapes from our shows on HBO and play them on the tour buses. And
Oh,
I think,
really?
I think that's how the word really spread around a lot.
It was a
Yeah.
lot more organic.
We were legit. Yeah.
It was just harder to get noticed back then. I mean, I even felt that way writing a sports column, online. It was like, you just, it was so hard just to grab people's attention. Now it's like you can do it in a millisecond. I don't know. I actually think it's better. It was better the old way in a lot of ways because it made you really have to think and work at it. And
Yeah. Well, now, it's like everyone can have their fame on the YouTube. So it's actually more competitive.
like, let's say you guys came along 16. Let's say you right now, 1995 Tenacious D
Yeah.
comes out right now, and you have one song that's a smash hit,
Yeah.
and you get 12 million YouTube hits for it.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
Yeah. And
Now you're getting a show. Now you're getting an album. Like you're getting all these things at the same time.
right.
I don't know if that would have been good.
If it comes out now, well, we wouldn't sell any records. It would have been just
No.
because people don't buy records anymore.
You seem bitter about the record thing
Yeah, I hit it.
because you guys just had one, Rise of the Phoenix, spelled incorrectly.
Yeah, I think it's spelled correctly. I think they're going to change the spelling of it. It's much more satisfying to see Phoenix, F-E-N-I-X.
I felt it was like the porn spelling.
Yeah, but because it looks like
F-E-N-I-X.
Rise of the Penis.
Yeah.
The Penis. Intentionally. Guilty as charged.
I said this to you when we met earlier that I love the concept behind the album, and you said it was a backhanded compliment. Where I said, I love the fact that you guys were so inspired by 80s movie music that you just eventually had to make an album
Yeah.
that tapped into that inspiration. So then I asked the obvious question of how much of an impact did Rocky IV have on this album, and you said not a lot.
No. I mean, that's not true. I mean, we didn't watch Rocky IV and say, this is what we're going to do. It's just sort of a memory of good vibes from the comeback story.
Stallone with the log.
Yeah.
Remember Stallone was training naturally?
Yeah.
Drago was using steroids and training with a treadmill, but Stallone was in the wilderness with his log.
Yeah.
Yelling.
It made me want to stand up and cheer in the theater.
Made you want to make an album.
Yeah, in the empty theater. That movie, I just remember seeing that with no one else in the theater. But, the movie, we had a movie, Pick of Destiny, did not do well in the box office. And so we were sitting there kind of depressed, feeling like it was the end of the line, but then it just seemed obvious, like, wait, this is a great opportunity. Because we're a comedy band, we can come back with a vengeance and make that the whole theme of the next album, Rise of the Phoenix. There's something that was hilarious about that to us, that we're going to come back like Rocky and make an album that you can really, do push-ups to and inspire a whole new generation of rockers.
Yeah. So, you said the movie didn't do well.
Yeah.
And it was a movie that a lot of people had been waiting for.
Yeah.
For a lot of years, and there was almost like a pressure that came with it.
Yeah.
And after it didn't do well, like, what lessons did you learn from it? What did you take from it?
The thing about Tenacious D and a lot of great things is they're great until you like really define them. And when we made the Pick of Destiny, it forced us, because we were going from like little short nuggets where you didn't really have to know what is funny about us or what are we all about. Who is Tenacious D? We didn't have to answer all those questions. When you make a big movie where you're over an hour long, you have to like really define what it is and who these people are. And it might have hurt the comedy a little bit. There was something great about the strange mystery of the D.
So you almost revealed too much.
Yeah, maybe.
So what would you do differently if you could have done it over again? Would you have done just like nuggets?
Do you know?
Here's 7-8 minute pieces.
This doesn't really relate to that, but what I think what would make it better is if we just never stopped rocking. Because when the movie starts and it's Meatloaf and Ronnie James Dio and Baby JB, and it's just this rock opera. Yeah. It's so powerful. And then as soon as that stops and we start talking, and it's like a regular movie now with dialogue, the energy of the movie sort of dissipated. So if I were to do a sequel, it would be a nonstop rock opera.
So there might be a sequel.
Well, that's another tough thing, is we kind of sold our soul when we made the deal to make the movie. The studio gives you this big lump of money, but they also say,
they own your ass for the
we
sequel.
own you. Yeah, if there's a sequel, we will own it. But we can't say, okay, we're ready to make the sequel. They're not going to give us the money, and they're not going to let us go make it somewhere else. So we're kind of stuck. But
you could rename the band like Tenacious B. Just a pseudo sequel.
There's a little loophole where we can do stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count as a sequel. So we're probably going to do like
a Netflix sequel.
We might do a Netflix rock opera.
Wow. That's where stuff's going.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to release a movie in the movie theater anymore.
No, it's the Wild West again on the interweb.
It's good. People stream. Things stream really fast. We're launching a YouTube channel next week.
Do you know we were on the road recently with Rise of the Phoenix? We're touring it. And we were in Boston, and who was there but Roger Waters? He was doing The Wall, Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Yeah.
And I had never seen it, but I love the album, The Wall. So we go to see it, and it just blew my mind apart into 1,000 pieces. That is the greatest rock opera. I used to think it was Tommy by The Who, which is also an incredible rock opera.
But The Wall is like really crazy and weird.
Oh.
I saw it when I was like 10, and I'm still a little messed up by it.
For me, it's The Wall, The Who's Tommy, Jesus Christ Superstar, and that's it.
Well, they don't even make them anymore.
That's it. There's only really 3 rock operas.
Yeah.
That's where the D comes in with our next album.
To finish off the Mount Rushmore.
Our next album is all jazz. We just recorded it. And then the rock opera.
All jazz? Is that a joke?
No.
Really?
It's called jazz.
Are there weird cameos from people that I know?
No, it's just me and Cage and a couple jazz musicians, and there's only one song on the album, and it's called Simply Jazz. Really? And it's a 13-minute song. And we also filmed it, so there'll be like a documentary.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You know, I know a lot of people are going to think we're making fun of jazz when they hear it, but if you dig deeper and you really open up your mind, you'll hear that we love jazz, and that.
The good news is it's not like you're antagonizing. Like if you were antagonizing UFC fans or something, you might be in trouble.
Yeah.
But taking on the jazz community, probably not.
What
your
are they
life's
gonna
not
do?
in a lot of danger. What are they gonna do? Like show
Yeah.
you?
Wynton Marsalis, come and get me.
So, I've seen you. I think I've seen you like 3 times in person. How do you get the energy like when you're going from city to city? I mean, I know you feed off the crowd a little bit, but
A lot of it.
the amount of intensity that you guys put into it, I always thought that was the most impressive thing about seeing it in person. It's like,
Yeah.
sometimes you see bands and they're like, other than Springsteen, who's just a maniac, but like for the most part, you'll see bands, they're into it, but you can tell they're thinking like, am I in Cleveland or Chicago tonight or whatever. But
Yeah.
you guys are like crazy into it. I always wonder like how much coffee you drank before and all
There's
that
no
stuff.
coffee. There's nothing except for the sheer terror of going on stage in front of people. And it doesn't matter how small the audience, I still get like nerves.
Really?
Yeah.
Even now?
Mm-hmm. And I've never gone to battle. I hesitate before I compare myself to a warrior on the field of battle. But I feel like it must be similar. Because right before you go on stage, there's a fight or flight instinct that happens. There's an adrenaline rush, and you look around and you think, is there an escape hatch? Is there a loophole?
How do I get out of here?
Can I feign injury? I don't want to go out there.
Yeah.
And there's like a... And then, if you think about it, no, they came to see you. But there's this terror that they're gonna hate you, So
Yeah.
me and Kyle, we look at each other, and we really have to bond. We have to, like, look at each other, hold each other, head to head. We can do this. Come on. We do like a band. We get the whole band together. And
Like Almost Famous.
and we just, and we share our thoughts, our feelings, our fears, our dreams, our aspirations, and then we put our hands in the middle, and there's always some really corny thing that is said, and then we break. And there's a whole ritual to going out on stage now. And so when you see us out there with all that energy, it's because it's as if we're playing for our lives. It's as if our lives depend on it for the survival of the D.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt watching.
Yeah.
I think the biggest mistake you guys have made is the same mistake that you two made. Not enough feuding. Not enough worrying your fans that you're gonna break up.
Yeah.
I would have like worked in some feuds and some like Kyle gives an interview where he's just taking shots at you and then you fire back and people, what's going on here?
Oh, right. Oh,
The D might break up.
You're saying.
I'm saying you manipulate the situation so that your fans are just on like every time they see you,
Yeah.
they think this could be it. I mean, these guys might break up tomorrow.
You're saying in our like promotion of the album, because
Yeah, I'm saying
certainly
all
you're not
fake.
talking about in the live show, because
No, I'm
we've
saying
never done
the
a show
promotion.
where we didn't at some point break up.
I'm saying you actually own it completely and totally,
Right.
and almost like pro wrestling,
Yeah.
where, and this is, I feel the same way with U2. U2 has been this thing now that people just take for granted because they don't fight. They're not going to, Bono and Edge aren't going to break up.
Right.
So you kind of feel, they have another album coming out. Of course they do. They're going to release another album in 3 years.
But is it really hurting them? I don't think it's hurting you.
It's not hurting them, but if somebody was like, you hear about U2? Bono and Edge, huge fist fight in Dublin. They might break up. What?
Yeah, they're missing.
We're not going to have U2 anymore?
They're
That's
missing
it.
out on a real opportunity there.
Yeah. I think I would encourage more public feuding
I feel-
in the press.
Isn't that what Rolling Stones do on every tour now?
It
It's
works.
Like, it's the farewell tour, everyone.
This is it. Keith and Mick, they can't stand each other.
Yeah.
They've been doing this for 35 years.
That's the thing that they do before big prize fights, too.
They
There's
do.
always like
They're going to fight at the weigh-in.
I hate you. For
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, no, I really hate
This
you
is
should have
personal.
said that.
This isn't just what we're doing in the ring.
Yeah.
This goes beyond that.
Yeah,
I'm going to break up with you.
that's what you do.
And that brings people to the ring.
Okay, maybe before the jazz album, maybe you have one person says they didn't want to do the album, the other person did, and then there's a whole blame game and all that stuff.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
So when did you, High Fidelity was like your breakthrough?
Yeah.
At-
High Fidelity was my.
You toiled through the 90s,
acting.
hoping
Yeah.
you got a couple smaller breaks, but you're hoping like, I mean, you must have at some point thought, I want to star in a movie.
I had a break in 1990 in my first film. It was Tim Robbins' film called Bob Roberts, which is like a political comedy.
I saw Bob Roberts.
You saw Bob Roberts.
I saw it 22 years ago.
I'm the teenage psycho fan of Bob Roberts who
Oh my God.
dresses like him, and I was really skinny and good looking, so you wouldn't recognize me now, but
Well, they never show it. I haven't seen it since it was out.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I had like a buzz cut, looked like a Nazi youth, and that was a huge break for me because it was my first film.
Yeah.
And I got some good notices from it. Like Spike Lee was like, "Hey, you were good," and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna be huge." And then it led to 10 years of nothing, of just toiling and going and
going to auditions.
Yeah, but there even though it didn't launch me, I still got like a little handhold.
Yeah.
And people recognized me from it, and Bob and David of Mr. Show also recognized me from that too. So.
But how does the thing I never understood about your career is how you didn't end up on SNL?
There was a time I was thinking about going and auditioning for it.
So you never auditioned?
No, I never tried out.
Really?
Yeah.
What made you say I wouldn't be good on this show where I could go out and do characters?
I
and
wasn't
sing?
a multi-character guy at the time. I wasn't doing impersonations. I wasn't doing stand-up.
Right.
I was more of a theater guy, a musical theater guy. And so I didn't really fit in that world.
But yet you did, though.
Well, later on I
great
did.
On that.
With Tenacious D, we entered the stand-up comedy world.
Yeah.
But it was a different thing. And I remember when we first started Tenacious D, and we were cooking in that small venues with the other stand-ups, and it was really fun. And I remember seeing there was like in the 90s there was the alternative comedy scene was kind of happening with Nirvana and all the alternative music come bubbling around, and there was a lot of weird acts up there that weren't straight observational comedy, but like you'd see Will Ferrell was up there doing this weird performance art thing that was hilarious, and I remember he got called up to the big show, to Saturday Night Live, and everything.
95.
And that's when I started to look over there and go, man, maybe I should audition for that too. I don't know. But
you think that whole scene would make for a good like oral history book? I feel like it would.
Yeah, no one's really gone into it with it.
Because you think like all the different groups, like it's almost like gangs or something. Like you had like the Ben Stiller gang.
Yeah.
And you had like the David Cross gang. And, these different, but they all like got along. I don't feel like there's a lot of bitterness.
Yeah.
They're pushing stand-up comedy another level, like some of the stuff Sarah was doing, people like that. And it just seems like a lot of those people now are really successful.
Yeah, it's true. It all came from that period.
Yeah.
Someone's got to do a book about the history of that before everyone forgets.
Yeah.
I hope someone's got it all written down somewhere.
Or loses their brain cells that remember the parts that would be the good stories. What do you think, like, what gang were you in? Or were you in your own gang?
Me and Kyle were just sort of floating around in that world.
You're making cameos.
Yeah. But, we were definitely working with Ben Stiller early on. Like, we were trying to get a Tenacious D TV show going, and it didn't work out. We couldn't get a handhold, and then Bob and David, came in and said, "Well, let us shepherd this project." And they
nowadays you would have gotten a show in a heartbeat. There's like 700 channels.
Maybe, yeah, that's true.
What was the Conan O'Brien pilot you were on?
No, not me.
No?
But let me tell you,
the Heat
Vision and Jack was not Conan O'Brien.
Or not Conan.
That was
Ben Stiller. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But did you?
Why was Conan involved? Why do I have Conan in my? He wasn't involved in that at all.
No, but did you ever see Conan O'Brien's pilot that he did with Robert Smigel?
Maybe that's one.
And Adam West.
Oh, that's
where he's an actor. Look Well is what it's called.
I got those confused.
If you get a chance to see it on
those
YouTube.
Those are the two most famous ones, right?
Oh, the best.
Heat Vision and Jack and Look Well.
He's an actor who used to play a detective, but now will solve crimes just with the skill of his acting. He uses his acting as a weapon. It's so funny.
What was the Heat Vision and Jack plot?
People forget that Conan is like one of the most brilliant comedic writers in the industry.
Yeah.
Because they just think of him as a talk show host now, but
right. Yeah.
Dude is a major force.
He had a nice run.
Yeah.
Simpsons, SNL.
Yeah.
What was the Heat Vision and Jack? You had like a car, it had merged into a person?
It was a motorcycle. Voiced by the great Owen Wilson.
Yep.
And it was a mix of a $6 Million Man and Knight Rider. And some, I don't know, Seinfeld. I'm trying to think of a comedy that would be funny.
That's
like
on
that.
YouTube, right?
It's a Seinfeld. You can catch the
yours.
episodes on.
Seinfeld's on YouTube.
Oh, Heat, Vision, and Jack.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I hope so, because it deserves to be seen. You know, it was never aired on Fox. They decided against it. I think it was just a little too crazy. It's a little ahead of its time. But I played this astronaut that got too close to the sun, and now whenever the sun shines on my face, I become the smartest man in the world.
Yeah.
And can solve crimes. And NASA is really jealous, and they want to get me and cut my brain open to study it for science. So I'm on the run from NASA.
That's good.
And I have my best friend Owen Wilson. They zap him and turn him into a motorcycle, and we're on the run.
So there's
really
a little
ridiculous.
Knight Rider in there.
There's a little Knight Rider.
Dash of
My
Knight Rider.
talking motorcycle. Yeah.
Your parents would have liked that show, the NASA connection.
No, not
No?
really. They would. It's a bastardization. Of
Oh,
it's more conspiracy theory than real science. But
So when the high fidelity thing happened, how'd your life change? Other than the obvious ways.
well, that was huge because it was the first time that I had really flexed all that I could do on the silver screen.
Yep.
Because before that, I'd had that cool part in Bob Roberts, and then there was 10 years of just little bit parts here and there, but never really landing a good punch, never feeling like I was as funny as I could be.
Yep.
And then John Cusack saw Tenacious D and was like, you should be Barry in High Fidelity. And I was like, okay. I was a little nervous about it, but I said, I got to do it. I can't say no. And it was the first time that I really used my own personality, my own voice. And I credit that to, writing songs and sketches with Tenacious D. That helped me find out what I do best.
Yeah.
And that's why, and if anyone ever asks me, like, what do you do? What should I do to get in the industry? I always tell them, you got to write. You gotta act. You can't just act and hope that you're going to be discovered like Lucille Ball.
Right.
It doesn't work that way anymore. Right now, if you look at all the top comedians, they all write. They all write their own ticket. It's not enough to just be a funny performer.
So how much did you ad-lib in that script?
In High Fidelity?
Yeah. Did you ad-lib anything?
Well, there was a lot of freedom to, I didn't ad-lib monologues. But,
no, I would think no.
But it changes your approach to acting. You're not just a puppet. You are your own person, and you bring a lot to the table if you have some writing in your back pocket.
Because that seems like a big change in comedy the last couple of years is people, and I know Apatow does this, like you structure it so that you know what the movie is or the TV show or whatever, but you also want the people to kind of have fun and try shit out.
Yeah.
And then sometimes that's what ends up being in the movie. But it's amazing it took us this long to get to that point. Like, oh, hey, we'll make our funny actors feel entitled in what they're doing, and maybe they'll come up with good stuff. Doesn't seem like rocket science.
Well, but it is kind of a rocket science. There's an art to it. Not everyone can do it.
Right.
You got your Larry David, who seems to have mastered it with Curb Your Enthusiasm. That's all just, outlines.
And it's also, he seems like he's mastered who would be good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think Christopher Guest in the previous decade was like that too.
That's right.
But he only had his 8 or 9 or 10 people.
Yeah.
He never deviated from those 10.
It's like
Larry
jazz,
David
man.
Yeah,
it's like jazz. These guys, they're improvisational masters.
Yeah.
But Apatow definitely has figured it out as well.
So when you got School of Rock, 03,
yeah,
that was the first they put you on the poster.
That's right. That
turned out pretty well.
Yeah. I remember I didn't want to do that one either. That's a thing. I never, ever want to do anything. Right before I have to do it, I get really scared.
You think you made a mistake?
Because I was like, what am I doing? School of Rock. This is my thing. I got Tenacious D. I don't know if I should do a movie about rock when I'm, is it gonna mess up my rock thing with my band? But then I was like, wait a second. It's just me. I gotta show the world who I am and my real love for rock. And that's how that, I think, succeeded, was that I really committed to
you owned it.
You got to own it. You got to get a little naked.
And then like 8 years later, Linklater directed that movie.
Yeah.
And then you came back with him for this black comedy, Bernie.
That's right.
Which I watched. Black.
Did you check
comedy.
it out?
I watched it.
Yeah, it's dark.
It's dark. You became another human being, and it kind of freaked me out.
Yeah. Well,
He became this super effeminate, homicidal person who,
yeah.
I don't know. I always get suspicious.
Well, that's
when-
the question of the movie. Is he a homicidal maniac?
Or did he make
is
one
he just
mistake?
a really sweet guy that snapped and had temporary insanity?
with a,
that's the
with
question.
with an unlikable person.
That's right. He's likable. He's the most likable guy in the town.
Yes.
It's a true story, I might add.
Yes.
Bernard Tita III is currently serving a life sentence in a little Texas prison.
And it's filmed like, for people who haven't seen it, it's filmed, it kind of feels like a documentary, even though it's not.
That's right. Yeah.
I thought it was cool how he did it.
That's a cool thing about Rick Linklater. He takes a lot of risks, and this is the first movie I'm aware of that mixes documentary with real traditional movie narrative. You know what I mean?
Jim Cotta didn't do that?
Jimmy Carter?
Jim Cotta.
Are you just throwing names out there?
Yeah, I was like throwing out weird movies.
I don't know. Now you're exposing me for not knowing some
you wouldn't remember. It
famous
was from the 80s. You wouldn't remember.
He was a big director?
No, Jim Cotta was a gymnastics movie with Kurt Thomas.
Oh, Jim Cotta. But,
he ad-libbed some of the gymnastics scenes. Yeah, that was good, though.
That was a mixture of gymnasium, physicality, and karate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Kurt Thomas.
Well, Rick Linklater was the second to make a major marriage of art forms. But
so it's on Blu-ray, or it's coming out on Blu-ray.
I don't know if it's Blu-ray. It must be, right?
It's coming out on Bluray.
Doesn't really matter. Now
when
it's
was
just
it released
it's
in the
available
theater?
on Netflix and Redbox.
But when did it come out in the theater? Like it did the whole film festival thing.
Yeah, it did a film festival, but then it wasn't released until fairly recently, a couple months ago. I'm bad with dates. I think it was a summer release.
And your hat's kind of in the ring for award talk.
You know, there's been some
just
buzz.
mentioning
I'm
it.
not
There's
gonna,
been some
I
buzz.
don't
I'm just
wanna toot
mentioning.
my own horn,
I don't want to jinx
there
it.
has been some buzz.
It's a little buzz. It's a little buzz.
It feels good. I like a good buzz.
That guy was so weird. That guy was so weird that you played. Do you know how actors do the thing where they become the character?
Yeah.
But then they actually become the character, and even like when they're getting a soda, the other actors have to pretend they're that person. You didn't do that, did you?
I didn't tell other people what to do, but I definitely tried to stay in character.
Really?
Sure. No, it helps. But
well, especially that guy.
Yeah, you know, once you get in the groove, you wanna stay in the groove for the day.
Yeah.
But I'm not crazy, you know. Like I'm not split personality about it. No.
So that last day of filming, you're like, all right, buy a character that I would pretend to be for 12, 13 hours a day. I'll see you later.
I'm no Daniel Day-Lewis.
Right.
I heard that's pretty intense on the Abraham Lincoln set right now.
He goes to a dark place. I wanted to ask you about you have kids.
Yeah.
And you make kids movies. I would think that would be really weird to take my own. I have 2 kids. To take my own kid to a movie that I was in.
Yeah, I don't do that.
You don't do it.
Well, I took them to Kung Fu Panda 2 because that doesn't count. They can't see that it's me.
It's
they
just
can
your
just
voice.
hear me. Yeah.
And that didn't work?
That doesn't bother them.
Oh, that the voice doesn't bother them.
You know, I don't know if any of it would bother them. I don't think they're all that comfortable with having a super famous dad. I don't think they really.
Because at school, people are like, hey.
My little one said to me the other day, he was like, I don't like it that everyone knows you. I don't want everyone to know you. And I was like, yeah, I don't want everyone to know me either.
You find your kids are getting invited to a lot of play dates?
Yeah, you think maybe they have gotten a little extra play dates out of my super sauce. But yeah, I just try to steer clear of situations where I'm going to be super recognized.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to be kind of a head trip to take them to a movie that I'm starring in.
How many
I took my boy to see my youngest. My older boy didn't want to go, but I took him to see the Muppet movie. I was recently had a cameo in, and it really freaked him out that my head was shrunken down. I have this scene where they put some hot towels on my head and it shrinks down, and that kind of scarred him for life.
He was really like legitimately upset?
Yeah, it was a little bit traumatic.
Did he cry?
No, but he was, he was freaked. I got him out of there, stat. We had a little ice cream to make it all better.
Have they seen some of your other movies or no? Like, because they're on cable all the time. If you're flicking channels,
no,
likely to stumble across your face.
Yeah, once in a while they will see me. Like when I was hosting the Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon.
Oh.
Yeah, couldn't avoid that one.
That's a good parent move though.
Yeah.
Because you get shot by goo and stuff.
Exactly.
Like the kids like that stuff.
Exactly.
You win some kids street cred.
That's right. Yeah, my boy doesn't want to be funny. I think I can already sense he doesn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. It's like, I'm not funny, I'm cool. So I can tell if he does follow in my footsteps, he's gonna try to go a different way.
Sounds like skateboarding.
It's gonna be more of a James Dean.
Oh, James Dean could go
clown.
Skateboarding or like BMX.
I think, yeah.
All those type of things. So what are you working on next?
Next, we got more Tenacious D touring.
Yeah.
And then I got a movie with a guy that I think is great named Michael Winterbottom. He's a British director who directed a movie called 24-Hour Party People, amongst many other cool, funny movies. And
indie?
Yeah, a little indie. I'm indie man now. I don't know if you've heard. I've switched over.
You did the Noah Baumbach one. That was super.
That's
indie.
right.
I like that movie.
I go indie. I go dark.
That was a dark movie. That was not a feel-good movie.
No. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I'll switch it up. I'll go depressing. I'll make you cry.
You feel like comic actors have to do that. They have to do they'll do a couple and then you got to do the one where it's like you just have to.
I think it's important to switch it up. You got to mix it up. Not just for the career, but also for your sanity. If you get into a thing where you just do the same movie over and over again, you start to lose your mind.
Where you're like, hey, I'm a funny guy.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm a funny guy.
Yeah, you do 7 in a row of those.
Yeah, it leads to suicide.
Yeah.
But so this one is about a dude who works at a newspaper and gets laid off because all newspapers are exploding, and he's got his wife and kids, and he's embarrassed to tell them he's lost his job, so in a panic, he decides he's just going to start selling weed. And he meets some dudes at the 7-Eleven that he suspects would know that world, and he asks them if they can hook him up with some product, and he starts selling weed. I don't want to give too much away, but it's really dark and really funny.
Do you think, you know how they have these themed movie channels?
Yeah.
Where they have like HBO comedy.
Yes.
Don't you think we have enough weed movies now that we could have HBO weed?
No. There's not that many weed movies. I mean, there's.
You sure?
Well, there's the Cheech and Chong movies.
Well, there was a lot in the 90s that came out.
Yeah.
And you could have like a lot of weed.
The Pick of Destiny was definitely a weed movie.
I would agree.
There was Your Highness recently, brilliant weed movie. But
there's two types of weed movies though. There's movies that were made clearly designed for people to smoke weed to.
Yeah.
But then there were movies that actually used weed as plot devices, like Outside Providence.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite late 90s movies that really used weed effectively to advance the plot. But yeah, I think that we're almost there for HBO weed.
There's a lot of weed TV shows that were not meant to be weed, like Teletubbies is really good if you smoke some weed to that. Or Yo Gabba Gabba. It's a very stony kids TV show.
I actually thought you were supposed to get stoned when you watch Yo Gabba Gabba. That's not good.
It's a down low thing.
Yeah.
Did we nail it?
Yeah, we did good.
Did we kill it?
We did good. We have the Tenacious D sequel coming.
Yeah.
We have you're back on tour.
Yeah.
And I'm good. I'm happy. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Podcenter at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.
All right, fans, by now you should know that millions of fans use StubHub and the StubHub app to find the seats they want to games, concerts, and more. But one thing you may not know is that you can also go on StubHub to set a price alert. That means you choose where you want to sit and the price you want to pay. Then if another fan lists tickets for sale within your price range, StubHub will email to let you know. Pretty great, huh? So head to StubHub today to get your tickets or the app to set a price alert. You can't go wrong.
StubHub!